I am Cy Rodriguez, and today I am about to make the biggest confession that I've ever publicly made, and it has to do with marijuana. And I'm going to explain some things in this confession. In other words, make up excuses for my behavior, whereas normally I would think that making up excuses is not necessarily demonstrating anything, but I do feel like I want you to understand where I've been with this so that you know that I have not completely hidden myself from you. And I will start off by saying, I guess, that marijuana is something that I have struggled with for a long time. And in recent years, I mostly only ate marijuana. And this is my kind of excuse or my explanation because I feel like I've wanted to be an example of health, and I felt like if I was smoking marijuana, then I really couldn't feel good about being an example of health. And I know some people are going to immediately make judgments about this and say things or think things like, oh, you're an idiot, marijuana is good for you. And I'm not saying that marijuana is all bad, although I think for some people it can make a huge difference in their life in a negative way. That doesn't mean that nothing good could come out of it, but in an overall sort of way, I do think people are making a trade-off, and it might not be a trade-off that is really good for them on a soul level. And that's why, or at least part of the reason why, I'm not going to be using marijuana anymore. Now, I'm going to kind of try and stay on track, and I'm going to go all over a little bit, probably unintentionally. And part of this is that I don't want to hide from anybody anymore about anything. I want people to see me for who I am so that I can be what it is that I want to be who I want you to see, if that makes sense. In other words, I want to be a very good person, a healthy person. I feel like I am those things, but I want to fully be them without hiding. And I think this is a big part of addiction in general. So since we're talking about it, I'll just say addiction to me a lot of times has a lot to do with hiding. And I no longer want to hide. Now, if I was just quitting marijuana because I thought that it was all bad, then it would be a very difficult thing for me to do, because I've had fun using marijuana, and I am not proud of myself or anything. I'm not bragging about the fact that I've done it, and I do think that I wouldn't want my kids to be doing it. I think it's not good for anybody who is not a fully mature person to even try or mess around with, because I think that it can interfere with their development process in at least an emotional sort of way, and it might hurt their intelligence at a young age. And there is evidence that supports that at a young age, before 18, before somebody's really fully developed mentally, that it could cause some issues with their intelligence. And that doesn't mean it's going to make them stupid. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that there is some evidence that shows that using marijuana before your mind is developed is not good. So, but the fact is that I've had some fun with marijuana, and really enjoyed experiences of eating it, specifically because I would get high, which was the main reason I would do it, and I would have all of these great thoughts and great feelings, and have fun doing pretty much whatever it was that I was doing. So there is that part of it. But the deeper reason why I feel like I don't want to do it is, first of all, is because I want to be that person who doesn't need it, because I don't need it. And when I say that, pretty much nobody needs it. Now, There may be some medical reasons where somebody has certain issues, and I understand those specific issues those people might benefit from using marijuana. And I would always say specifically that if a person is going to benefit from using marijuana, then it should always be taken internally and not smoked, because smoking is not good for you, no matter what anybody tries to tell you or tries to justify. And I feel that 100%. Does that mean that you won't be able to perform athletically if you smoke it? No, it doesn't mean that. I know that lots of people do perform very well athletically and they smoke marijuana, and some people claim that it increases your lung capacity, and there are explanations for that. But in an overall sort of way, to inhale tar with all of these different chemicals that are in marijuana into your lungs, to put any kind of tar in your lungs, to me is anti-health. And that is the reason that I don't think that you should ever smoke it, even if on some level marijuana might benefit you. But this is really more about my confession and why I'm quitting right now, and I'm happy to make other videos. And I've researched this subject quite a bit, and I've been around it for a long time, so I have lots of practical experience with it. So going back a little bit, let's just say I smoked marijuana for the first time when I was a teenager in junior high school. And I was introduced to it by a friend of mine who was somebody that I kind of looked up to, and he just offered me to do it one day, and I did. I kind of had fun, but I was very paranoid. I ditched school as a result of it, and I don't think that it helped me. And I feel bad for anybody who starts it at a young age, because I know that it can seem like fun and it can seem like something that they like, but I do think on some level it's probably hurting them, especially when they're young. But I did this, and then I only did it a number of times. I don't know how many times it was, and there's a whole bunch of other situations that go along with marijuana. Like, for example, my friends and I used to search for it in neighborhoods in California where we lived at, and we even stole marijuana from people's places. And in general, you know, we were kids that were kind of in trouble. We were doing things that were probably dangerous to some degree, and also just not so smart. And my excuse for that is that we were young and not so smart. So those things happened. But I didn't actually use marijuana a lot during those younger years. Thankfully, I moved away from where I lived at and got a fresh start in Colorado, and things went in a different direction, and I'm very thankful for that. And then I really didn't use marijuana at all until sometime after my 21st birthday. I used it again once with my girlfriend, and she had never done it before and wanted to try it. And it was, you know, we laughed, and we basically just laughed. And it was kind of a life-changing experience, though. I think it really changed the way we felt about each other and made us see each other in a different way. And that's part of what maybe some people like about marijuana, is it might open your eyes to a new way of seeing. My question is really, is that a good way of seeing? Is it really, is it really beneficial for you, that new way of seeing? And are there other ways that you can get the kind of experience that is beneficial, where your eyes are open and that you see things more clearly without having to have the consequences that come along with doing things that alter your mind in ways that you don't really have control over? So that's another reason that I just don't feel like marijuana is necessarily good, especially for me, because it alters your mind and changes things in a way that you don't have as much control over. And when it would be fine if those experiences were just good and they only led to, you know, good ideas and you could fulfill those things. But my experience is that some of the ideas and things that I've had when I was under the influence seemed great at the time, and they even seemed like they were very, very special and that I had learned something great. But then when I was no longer high, they felt like they were like delusions of grandeur. And also that the main thing is that I didn't really have the energy to carry out those things that I had thought of, these great ideas that I had while I was under the influence. And this may not be the case for everybody, so that's why I'm saying that these are my reasons for not doing it. But beyond those things, I want to show something in life, and I feel like I have a purpose. And part of my purpose is to be an overcomer, which I know sounds really cheesy, but I'll put it in a different way. I want to be a life transformation specialist. And I feel like I am transforming all the time, and that other people want and need to transform, meaning they need help. They need to see other people, not me specifically, but examples of people who have overcome things that they need help overcoming. And I intend to be that person. And I want to be the person that when you look at, you know who I am, and I can tell you what I've done in certain situations, because I don't necessarily feel like I should confess everything about my life. But even though this one is kind of a difficult thing to confess, I feel like it's necessary for me to move on with my life and to actually be the person that I've been trying to be for a long time, which is a person that is who you see, and who doesn't have some other life that's hidden over here because I'm doing some activity that I'm paranoid that certain people will see. And that's my particular scenario. So going back to more of the purpose, is my purpose in life is about health, freedom, and probably the internet. Internet, because I'm getting this message out, and I'm an entrepreneur. So that's where the internet comes in for me. So using my life and my transformation to first be a better person for my own peace of mind and health, and to help other people to be able to realize that they are not alone, that they can do the same with themselves. Not saying I'm the only example. There's plenty of examples. There's people all over the place all the time who are transforming. And I recommend that if you want to be that person who transforms your life for the better, then look for other people who are transforming their life for the better, and then do it. Be inspired and do it. So I want to be that inspiration, as funny as that might sound to some people, or as arrogant as that might sound to some people. I do feel like that is part of my purpose in life. So here I am confessing today that I have used marijuana. Some of you know, some of you haven't known. Now you all know. And I, like I said, wanted to make some excuses and some explanations about where I had been with this. So for several years now, I basically haven't smoked it, and there has been an exception. 2 years ago, I smoked some with one of my relatives, and I felt very, very bad about it, and I had fun with them while I was under the influence, but I really felt like I suffered for it after, physically and mentally. And then since then, there was one time since I had been eating it occasionally, and it really has been occasionally, and I feel like I want you to know that, because I want you to really know who I am. I haven't just been some person who has been indulging in marijuana use all the time. But the exception to this use of marijuana that was not ingesting it, I learned about vaporizers, and I was always trying to find some reason to believe that, oh, marijuana is good because all these people say that it's good, and I know it makes me feel good when I'm under the influence because of those increased dopamine levels and the resulting euphoria and different types of experiences that you have while you're under the influence of marijuana. So I learned about vaporizers and also about these, well, you know, there's electronic cigarettes, for example. So you have these solutions of THC in liquid, and now it's legal in Colorado. You know, I thought, oh, well, I was going to try this vaporizing of marijuana. And so what I ended up doing was using some kind of a device that looked like a vaporizer, but it actually combusted the marijuana, which means that it burned it because of the particular type of device it was. The person thought it was a vaporizer, but it wasn't. And so it worked and it got me high, but I didn't actually vaporize it. I was inhaling that stuff into my lungs, which I really regretted after. So that's my fall, I guess, off of the just ingesting it and doing something that I really didn't want to do, which was to smoke it. And so here I am now telling you that I have ingested it here and there over several years, and always thinking that it probably wasn't the best thing for me and that I was hiding when I was doing this, meaning that I didn't want other people to know about it. That didn't do it because I was afraid of what might happen as a result or how I might be judged, these kinds of things. But at the same time thinking, okay, this might be good for me, this might be good for me, maybe this way it's good, or maybe if I only use a little bit it's good. Some way I was just thinking that this could be healthy, literally. Like, that's part of why I have had such a struggle with it. And just going back to that again, I do want to stress that there are some aspects of marijuana that I know can be healthful, especially to the physical body. And one of those substances that is in marijuana is cannabidiol. And I know there are strains of marijuana these days that have just cannabidiol without the THC, so meaning that a person doesn't get high, but they get the cannabidiol. And if that is what a person is doing, which I haven't done, if they're ingesting something that has just that cannabidiol in it, I believe that it could probably have straight benefits for somebody, and really no negative consequences. So I'm not condemning marijuana. But over the years, my use has been love-hate. I wouldn't do it for a while, then I would buy some, I would cook it in coconut oil, and then I would ingest it through this coconut oil, and it would get me high, and then I would regret it kind of the next morning after I had done it and feel some sort of depression. But by the evening of that next day, I'd be feeling like, oh, I could do this again. So it was really the hardest part about it for me was the strong contrast of night and day. Before I went to bed at night, feeling great, feeling like, wow, I have all these great ideas. This was such a fun experience, made me feel good, and it feels like it was healing on some level. And then the next morning feeling depressed and feeling like I had lost something, and I had maybe the main thing is my vision taken away. Not my physical vision, but my spiritual vision, my ability to see long-term in a very stable way. I feel like everything just kind of changed, and I lost that consistency, and I wasn't able, no matter how much I wanted to continue on. And I think that really has a lot to do with hiding. You know, you're not feeling your best, and you maybe don't want people to know what you've done, so you end up hiding and your expression is gone. And I think expression is so important. So I want to be able to fully express. That's part of the reason why I no longer want to do marijuana, and why I'm making this confession here, and literally telling you that from now on I will not be using marijuana. Now, I've said never about other things. For example, I haven't drank for over 10 years any alcohol at all of any kind in any amount whatsoever. And I quit drinking coffee, and I said I'll never drink coffee again, which has sometimes I feel bad that I said never, because I don't think that coffee is 100% bad, but my specific type of nature is very addictive, and anything that I like, that I allow myself to have, I tend to overdo at least once in a while, and when I overdo it, that's when I really feel like it does the most damage. So that was something that I quit, was coffee. But with marijuana, my intention is not to say I will never have it again, although that is my intention. And I am going forward saying this is something that I'm no longer going to do. But in order to be an accountable person and be able to do this in a way where I feel like it's something that I can live with and something that's not going to make me have regrets, is that I'm just going to say, instead of saying never, if I ever use marijuana again, then I am going to come to you and I'm going to make a video and I'm going to confess to you that I did this, and I'll tell you my experience about it and what happened, how I basically allowed myself to do it. And I don't think that's going to happen because I really don't want it to happen. And my reasoning beyond myself, if you want to come over here for a second, Kyle, I will show people who you are. This is one of my kids. This is Kyle, who I love very much. And I want to do things that make our life good together, and I don't want to see him doing things that are not good for him. So I want to be a good example for him. So that's another reason why I don't want to use marijuana. And I also want to, the very basic reason why is because I don't need it. And I don't think anybody needs it. It's just one of those things that you could do that like kind of throws you into another world for a while. I mean, it's addictive because of certain reasons related to how it makes you feel. And it takes away from that consistency that is your clear vision. And that's what I feel like it is for me. For other people who don't feel that way, I understand. I'm not condemning you, not against you. I understand why you like marijuana. So anyways, that's a story. Did you want to say anything to anybody before we end this video?
Bye!
Thank you so much for watching. I hope that helped you to understand why I'm not doing marijuana. I hope this was a good confession and that it inspired you on some level. And I would love to hear your feedback. Please write in the comment section how this video made you feel, what your feelings are about this subject. It's not going to change what my decision is, what I do. This is where I'm going forward with this. And like I said, if something does change with this particular issue, then I'm going to confess to you how it changed and why I decided to do something different. And like I said, once again, I don't think that's going to happen. So thanks so much for watching. And from now on, you'll know that I really don't have, hopefully I don't have anything to hide. And you can see me for who I truly am, which is what I really want to express to you for the benefit of myself and you. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.